You're listening to the Moon Griffon Show podcast on KPEL965.com.
News Talk 96.5 KPEL, Breaux Bridge, Lafayette, broadcasting from the Matthew James Tax and Wealth Management Studios.
Will Israel cross a U.S. red line? I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Israel's prime minister says they can't stop the war now.
The president and I have agreed that we have to destroy Hamas. We can't leave a quarter of the Hamas terror army in place.
But in order to do that, Benjamin Netanyahu tells Fox they must go on the offensive in Rafah.
Hamas will reconstitute itself with these 4 battalions in Rafah, reconquer the Gaza Strip, and do the October 7th massacre over and over and over again.
Now, President Biden says the Rafah offensive would cross a line with more than 1 million Palestinian civilians sheltering there as the Muslim holy month of Ramadan begins. U.S. military aid to Israel remains stalled in Congress, and so does even more money and ammo and weapons for Ukraine.
Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban tells reporters in his country that former U.S. President Donald Trump would end U.S. support of Ukraine's fight against Russia should he be reelected. Orban was just in the U.S. and met the former president at Mar-a-Lago in Florida. He says if the U.S. stops its support of Ukraine's military, the war would end, and that peace talks after the fighting stops could bring stability to Europe.
Fox's Eben Brown. There's growing worry that Haiti's government could collapse, prompting Secretary of State Antony Blinken to go to a meeting of Caribbean leaders.
Gang violence has been battering Haiti with attacks on several police stations in the capital of Port-au-Prince, and gang members freeing prisoners from jails. And the neighborhood around the U.S. Embassy in the capital is mostly controlled by gangs. So the U.S. military brought in aircraft to airlift some embassy personnel out.
Fox's Jill Nato. There's a royal apology over a picture in Britain that Princess Kate says she is sorry she edited.
With her recent abdominal surgery surrounded in a veil of privacy, this photo was the first we'd seen of Kate in weeks. But within hours, news agencies started to withdraw what was clearly a digitally altered picture. Speculation ran rampant online.
That's Fox's Jonathan Savage in London. America's listening to Fox News.
You know, our friends at Henry Repeating Arms, they manufacture a line of very high-quality rifles, shotguns, and revolvers that you can be very proud to own. Now, they're made in America with parts and materials also from America. Now, they use old-world craftsmanship combined with cutting-edge technology to deliver reliable and accuracy that you can trust in any situation. Now, they're easy to use and maintain. It makes them an excellent choice for both a novice and experienced shooter. Henry has over 200 models, so you can find the firearm that's right for you. There's also new releases all throughout the year. And every purchase is backed by their lifetime warranty and the company's owner. Anthony Imperato also gives his personal guarantee for 100% satisfaction. Now, make sure you go to their website, henryusa.com. Order their free catalog. They'll send you free decals and a list of dealers where you are. That's henryusa.com. Free catalog, free decals, and a list of dealers where you are. You're going to love this company.
South Louisiana's biggest St. Patrick's Day celebration is back. Patty in the Park, Saturday, March 16th at Park International, downtown Lafayette, presented by Bud Light, featuring The Good News, 337, DJ Digital, and the People's Champ, Paul Law.
What it do is Power Wow, I'm the People's Champ.
Tickets available now at Eventbrite.com and all Legends locations. The only official after Patty party happening at downtown Legends Patio. Official Patty in the Park t-shirt by Mike James Entertainment. Wristbands by The Ruins. Designated driver tent by Service Chevrolet.
Hey, you know what really gets a party started? Indoor baseball. Yeah, just find a broom or a pool cue, and you can use like anything as a ball. Cans, bottles, shoes.
Hey, bro, toss me that avocado.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb, but if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving, the ultimate party foul. Learn more at ultimatepartyfoul.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Bikers Against Child Abuse empowers children to not feel afraid of the world in which they live. For more information, visit BACAworld.org. Our helpline is 866-885-9474. BACA, breaking the chains of abuse.
This hour of the Moon Griffon Show is brought to you by 1% List Acadiana. Call Shannon LeBlanc today at 337-522-0682. Save on fees, not on service.
The views expressed in the following show are those of the hosts or hosts only. They do not represent News Talk 96.5 KPEL or Town Square Media.
welcome, Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us as we rock and roll. Thank you, sir. We are on the road in Baton Rouge, beautiful Baton Rouge. We're at the Capitol. Well, even better than that, it's somewhere I've never been in my life, is the fourth floor of the Capitol, which is Governor Jeff Landry's. I'm not going to say I'm in his office. I'm more in his staff room. And we're going to broadcast here till 11, and then we're going to switch over. We'll just be in Baton Rouge for a couple hours with Brian Haldane on Guaranteed Broadcast. And we got a lot of guests lined up. We're hoping the governor will stick his head here. Liz Murrow and Tim Temple's going to stop by and say hi. Dr. Brumley will. John Kay is going to talk about the legislative session. Senator Kirk Talbot dealing with insurance with Temple and things of that nature. And then whoever else happens to come by, we'll be glad to put them on. But we'll broadcast here. It's always good to come by. Capitol legislative session starts today. And big agenda out there, big agenda. Also, one of the things on the agenda is the Constitutional Convention. So that's something I've always been against. With the right people, I said I could support it. So it's whether I support it or not doesn't matter. I think they're going to do it, and we'll see how all that breaks down. So without further ado, we're joined, and it's an honor to have him. He's a former congressman, but he's now state treasurer, Mr. John Fleming. John, how you doing, bud?
Hey, Moon, I'm doing good. And by the way, next time you do this, let's do it in the vault on the third floor. That's at the treasurer's office. And for those who don't know, this Capitol was built back in the early 30s, and it had a big bank vault that still exists today. Of course, we don't store things in it, but there are some neat documents, holdovers, bonds that were signed by the governor back then. But anyway, next time we need to do it from the vault.
I'll make you a promise. Liz Murrow's going to kill me because originally we were going to the Attorney General's office. So we switched over here. And but I'll make you a promise we will do one. You know, we're going to come back several times during the session. Kind of stick your head in there, check on bills.
Right.
Get these guys and ladies to come on that want to come on. And I hadn't been in 15 years until a couple of years ago I started coming back. And now I feel even better coming back. Last time I was here, they introduced me at Paula Davis. I call her Paula Pelosi Davis. She's a representative when they introduced me. Clay Shake Snyder did not say welcome to the Capitol like everybody else got. I didn't get that. And she turned around, basically looked at people. We don't never need to let him in here. I thought, this is my house too. Anyway, just giving you a little funny detail. Yeah. But, I thought a lot of people played in. Let's just take back the Blue Cross Blue Shield. By the way, I've been using them pretty much my whole life. I think what they've done has been really good.
Right.
I think it's been a really good company.
Yeah.
I don't want anybody to misconstrue that because Blue Cross didn't sell. It don't mean we think they're a bad company. We think there was a lot of bad politics being played in it. And Elevant came in, and when you started seeing what they were doing and what they had to pass, it just kind of got testy.
Right.
And but you're one of the people I think it was a lot of people. It's funny. I gave Kirk Talbot credit on my program. I said, it was Ash Wednesday. And I said, Kurt, I'm going to do something I normally don't do. I'm going to give you elected officials in the Joint Committee credit. Yeah. And he said, man, I'm going to write this down. You giving us credit.
Yes. Well,
just your thoughts on that.
Yeah, well, senators did a yeoman's job on that. They really analyzed it well. Thomas Presley and
Jeremy Stein
did an excellent job, yes. And but also the Louisiana State Medical Society studied this. It came out against it, the specialty societies. And we analyzed it in the Treasurer's office. And really, both public information and not so public information told us that this was going to be a bad thing. So the point of all this is you're right. Blue Cross Blue Shield is a wonderful company in Louisiana. I'm a physician, still have an active practice, and they've always treated us well, whereas some of the other companies, I won't name them, have been slow to pay, have denied services to patients. And so we need to keep what's good in Louisiana.
Let me ask a question, though. Do they they got a right to sell that company if they
Sure
want
they
to?
do.
And the reason why I'm bringing that up is to make the point that you're making. Good company, bad deal.
Right.
And so it looks like to me they're coming back to make it even I don't think they're making it harder to sell. They're trying to take out all the bad where the board people are going to make a bunch of money and they sending out votes and basically buying them and all the media and stuff they did. Somebody told me that's close to Blue Cross Blue Shield said they had the worst marketing performance and disaster that they've ever seen.
I believe that. I do. And look, companies do merge. Companies have to evolve. They have to keep up. They need to modernize. And I fully support all of that. But this one deal was a very bad deal, in my opinion. And we were happy to come out to oppose it, join in with others. And at least for now, it's gone. But you're right. They'll probably come back in another form.
You being the treasurer, John Fleming, our state treasurer, you being the treasurer, when you get here, you got to get everything straight. You got to hire people. And I know you've done a good job of hiring people. And I'm going to have Woody Jenkins on in a few minutes as well. But have you ever sat down as a treasurer and started looking at the spending and things that we were doing in the past that you look up and go, man, we got to change this?
Yeah.
Have you been here long enough to look into that? How about that?
Let's put it this way. It hit me square in the face. Moon, what happened was we have to take the appropriations bills from last year, some of which have not been spent yet, and we have to sort them in with the new bills that are going to be coming in this.
Sir.
And do you know we went from a baseline of 135, which is in statute, to over 700 different spending items. And it just goes to show, you've heard the saying.
6 times the spending.
Exactly. You've heard the saying that work expands to fill time. Well, I would say that spending expands to fill the budget. So more money was coming in. Our budget has improved over the last 2 or 3 years. Some of it federal spending, of course, with COVID and so forth.
I'm going to disagree a little bit with you. A lot of it's federal.
Right, yeah.
Spending. I don't think it's somewhat.
Yes.
I think it's a ton federal spending.
And then you see a direct correlation with the amount of spending that comes out of that. And you may recall, while I was running for treasurer last year, I opposed them passing that bill at the last minute, pushed by Sheikh Snyder and those folks. My then opponent, Republican opponent, did vote for it. I opposed it all the way. And now we're having to process that. We're looking at some of them that are really quite questionable that we're going to analyze.
That was my next question. Can you go back in your position, maybe the governor, can you go back and say what we did last year, y'all can cancel that. We're not spending that money that way. Is there a legal way to do that, a constitutional way to do that?
Yes, legislature can rescind spending from last year, and we're going to be looking at maybe doing that because it was really out of control. I mean, what happened there in the last minutes of the session, it was ridiculous, and it was not responsible. And so we're going to look at that. Now, my authority is not in the budget. I don't approve budgets or anything like that, but we have to write the checks for them. And it's my fiduciary responsibility to let everyone know, especially the legislature and the governor, when we think things are not appropriate. So we're definitely going to take that.
Right. It'd be amazing if you went back and you found hundreds of millions, billions of dollars that you go, man, we just don't need this, because it does put us in a bind up the road. People don't realize sometimes when you take this federal money and you get money and it's for a year or two, and all of a sudden you think, well, this is forever, and then that money goes away.
Right.
Then all of a sudden you have a problem. I think we saw it in the child I call it child welfare. One of those departments where they were doing some $40, $50 million they got from the federal government. It was gone and said, hey, we need this money because they started a new program.
Right. And one of the things that are coming up is this 0.45 sales tax that's up for renewal. And I opposed it. I've come out in opposition to the renewal of it. We don't need it. We just need to control our spending, Moon. And then secondly, I'm officially on record now as opposing the personal income tax. That is, that we should repeal the current state personal income tax.
Okay, big movement, and I've always been against the Constitutional Convention. But I think the way they're going to set this up, the governor and the legislature will be the voters. We just put them in there.
Right.
You got 2/3 House and Senate Republicans. So I'm not so much against it. Is there some things, and you may not have looked at it enough, I got to believe there's some things to be fixed. That may be how to do it.
Right. Yeah. There are definitely things. We need to modernize our government. That's been a long time, since the 70s when we last did that. I'm neither for or against a constitutional convention, but there's no question that there needs to be some improvement. And we've amended the state constitution many, many more times than then the national.
It's over 200 times now.
Exactly.
Well, I'm not. I've been against it, always against it, depending on who the players were. I always said, who are the players who are going to be the voting delegates? Well, the Louisiana people just put all these people in there, and some got records, some don't. And I'm going, well, maybe this will be the best group to have a chance to change some of the things we need to change.
That's true. And we really have a reform-minded legislature, both on the House and the Senate side. As you know, we've got the Freedom Caucus is now extended from Washington down here, an organization when I was in the House of Representatives in Washington that I helped form, one of the 9 founding members. And so,
by the way, they're not listening to them in Washington.
They're not? Washington's not listening to people? Oh, I'm shocked.
Last question for you, and it's the friend of mine, Senate. He stays on me about it because CB forgot my old buddy CB used to non-governmental spending.
Yes.
Washington's the worst, but Baton Rouge's been bad through the years too. Is that something as a treasurer you can look at a budget and look at this and go, man, look at all this money we spend. It has nothing to do with government.
Yeah, the NGOs are problematic, Moon, because there isn't a system that I can tell that holds them accountable for their spending. Once the money goes into their budget, we don't, other than some reports, that's about all. So we don't necessarily know that it's going for the right thing or they're getting the right results.
I guess a good NGO is I'm getting money. A bad NGO is I'm not getting money.
Exactly. So we need more accountability. We really do, Moon, on those NGOs.
I don't blame you. It's always a pleasure. I'm going to bring in a guy that's no stranger to radio and politics, a guy that works for you, Woody Jenkins, in a few minutes. Hey, John, thanks. I know you got busy schedule Monday, and I call you late, but I didn't really know what I was going to do totally today. I'm kind of lined up now. Always a pleasure, sir.
Thank you so much,
God
Moon.
bless you. All right, Walt, we got to take a break, and you're listening to the Moon Griffon Show on the road. We're sitting at the state capitol on the 4th floor, and Governor Landry is actually one of his offices, one of many. We'll take a break, be right back. Woody Jenkins will join us for a few minutes. John Kay a little later to talk about the agenda. We'll be right back. Hey, folks, my good friends at Stein saying, hey, come check us out. They are ready to serve you, folks. It doesn't matter. Appliances, building material, home improvements. Pick up your orders at curbside, place the order, and come pick it up. We're talking about Stein, one of those great, great, great Louisiana companies, folks. Assorted flowers and vegetables on sale. They've got outdoor power equipment sale going on right now. Outdoor living sale going on right now. You need to check it out, folks. Steinhome.com. Steinhome.com. You know it's crawfish season. You want to do your ball of crawfish. No, they don't have crawfish. They got everything to cook it. Everybody outside grilling. They got grills you're not going to believe. Grills and deals at Stein, always. Free assemblies on grills, $299 or more. It's just deals. Special financing available for 12 months. Appliances, flooring, they got it all. You need to go to Stein. You need to go today. Steinhome.com, Steinhome.com. Better brands, lower prices, guaranteed. The Louisiana company, Stein, you got to trust them. They're waiting on you. When you think about how you'll spend your money in retirement, what comes to mind? Probably travel, sunny beaches, and spoiling your grandchildren. But a recent survey found that over 30% of every dollar a retiree spends goes to taxes. Baby boomers were told for years to save money in their IRAs and 401ks and pay taxes later. Well, now that day has arrived, and boomers are shocked to see a third of their money going back to Uncle Sam. John Blanchard and the Matthew James Financial Group can help. What if you could protect all or most of your retirement wealth from future tax rate increases? Achieve a zero or near zero effective tax rate for most of your retirement years. Find out more. 337-366-8366. Isn't it time you got a second opinion on your wealth and retirement outlook? Learn how you could potentially kick the IRS out of your IRA. 337-366-8366 and online at MatthewJames.com. Hi, hello. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Started a session today in beautiful Baton Rouge. We're here at the Capitol on the 4th floor. We'll be here for a while. All righty. Woody Jenkins joins us. No stranger to our program, no stranger to the Capitol. Make sure I got Director of Governmental Affairs for
the Department of Treasury, Moon. It's a pleasure to work with Dr. John Fleming. He is doing a fabulous job.
I'm not going to give you a perspective for him, so I don't want you to speak for him. But what I can do with you is you were here and when the Constitution of 74, 72.
Well, it's Constitutional Convention of 1973.
Okay, so I said 72, 74, so it was in between. So now we're here and talk of it again. We've heard talk many times. I've always been against it. This is a little unique. So just your thoughts on the Constitution back then and what it's going to take for them to have one issue.
Yes, man, and I'm going to speak for myself, not for Dr. Fleming, of course. It was an incredible experience to be part of the Constitutional Convention. It actually went from 1972 to 1974, and it was a big undertaking. Because
I told you 72 to 74. I didn't miss it.
And so the state shut down, basically. Even the legislature didn't meet as much because all eyes were on the Constitutional Convention. It's a gigantic undertaking. It involves a large staff. It involves meetings all over the state. It's a thing that needs to have a lot of thought and a lot of study to. As far as this so-called Constitutional Convention that they're talking about, you were right to be against it in the past, and you should be against this one too, because I think it's almost denigrating to the whole concept, the idea that we're going to have a Constitutional Convention for 2 or 3 weeks at the end of the session and make fundamental changes. Number one, why? Why is this being done? If you want to make changes, then propose amendments through the legislature one by one. But the predicate has not been laid for this Constitutional Convention. We don't know really why it's being called, but I'm going to tell you why. We don't know why. It's not been stated why, but I'm going to tell you the real reason why. Okay. Is there are folks who want to get things very rapidly done and put some things in this proposed new Constitution. There'll be so much in it that you really, as a voter, won't know. And I'll tell you the first thing.
Why do I be the first one against what comes on the ballot if that sucker is not pretty plain?
Yeah. And I'll tell you, but you won't have time to go through a Constitutional Convention. It's really absurd, the idea that you can have a Constitutional Convention in a couple of weeks. But the first thing that they're talking about doing is putting in there the repeal of the homestead exemption, or at least moving it into the statutes. And they say, oh, we're just putting in the statutes 2/3 vote. 2/3 vote means nothing right now. If you have a governor and a Senate president and a speaker for something, you're going to get a 2/3 vote.
I agree.
So that's no protection for anything. They want to do away with the homestead exemption. Another thing they're talking about is doing away with supplemental pay for fire and police. These two things will kill any proposed Constitution. You know, during the 1930s, you had hundreds of thousands of homes seized for non-payment of taxes. Mm-hmm. People do not want higher taxes on their homes. We have the highest rate of home ownership in the United States, right here in Louisiana. Wow. That's a wonderful thing. We need to stick with that. But some in big business, they want to shift taxes to the individual, to the homeowner. Now, here's what we have to be careful about on repealing the income tax. And I'm, like Dr. Fleming, all for that, been pushing it for years. But that's to cut government proportionately. We don't want to just shift to property taxes. Property taxes are one of the worst taxes. You know, in income taxes, at least you're making money and you can pay it. In sales taxes, you're making a purchase, so you must have money. But when you have a property tax, it's going up and you don't necessarily have any way to pay for it. And that's particularly true of people on fixed incomes.
By the way, just something for the record. Texas went up on the homestead exemption to like $100,000. Well, they actually did opposite of lowering it.
Right.
They didn't get rid of it, but they upped it, which I think was billions of dollars in tax breaks for homeowners.
And taxes are, property taxes are sky high in Texas, and we don't want to be there. If this means cutting government, yes, let's repeal the income tax, but let's don't shift it to homeowners.
What did the Republicans, and I only got a minute or so left, I think you're 100% right when you talk about when Republicans come and cut taxes, that's great. If you don't cut government, it always comes back to kick them in the butt. That's what you're saying. You're saying if you're going to do this, cut government, and you could do it. Don't just shift it. That's what the Stelly bill was. It was a tax shift. and the 0.45 was a tax shift.
Also, I don't agree with having legislators be the delegates. You need to have independent delegates who run for that. Legislators were elected. They have their own agenda. There's a lot of patronage. There's problems. You have connections with the governor, whoever's in power. You need to have independent delegates. It takes a year or more.
You're convinced, because you were there, that if you can't come out the session, go right into a
It's ridiculous. It's absolutely absurd, really.
Because it's that big. You're telling
It's a
me
huge
that's
thing.
big. And by the way, the last thing on that, I don't think we do a constitutional convention and pick the things we want to pick. Once you say a constitutional convention, it's the whole thing, right?
Well, that's probably the way it will end up. But be very cautious about this so-called constitutional convention.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up to me. I've never been a fan of it, and I've been nervous about it. Woody Jenkins.
Thank you, Moon.
Thank you, sir. God bless. Always
God
a
bless
pleasure.
you.
Let's take a break. We'll be right back. More to come. Hey, folks, this is Moon Griffon. I built my dream home. Start imagining your dream home. And when you do, make sure you call my friends and get in touch with my friends at Schumacher Homes. SchumacherHomes.com, SchumacherHomes.com. When you tour Schumacher model home, you're in control. Stop by during operating hours and tour at your own pace. There's a reason my friends at Schumacher have been building homes for over 30 years. They're committed to making the home building process as enjoyable, simple, and hassle-free as possible. Call them or visit them, SchumacherHomes.com. SchumacherHomes.com to schedule your free, no-obligation design and pricing meeting. Hey, it's an hour or two of your time working on your dream home. And my friends over at Schumacher Homes just announced some exciting news. You can get a mortgage rate as low as 2.875% when you finance with Schumacher Homes. That is 2.875% when you finance with Schumacher Mortgage. Hey, the whole Schumacher team is dedicated to making sure your dream home becomes a reality. SchumacherHomes.com, SchumacherHomes.com. Folks, remember the name All Field Equipment, allfieldequipment.com. When I say All Field, that's ALL Field.com. All Field Equipment, founded in 2016 by my good friend, Mr. Bill Allen, with over 50 years' experience in the oil and gas industry. Hey, this is a great company to do business with. Whether it's production equipment, control valves, controller, glyco pumps, chemical pumps, chokes, Wilden pumps, Barton recorders, Allfield has new, rebuilt, and parts. Allfield handles some of the industry's top brands such as Norasil, Fisher, and Kimray. On the supply side, Allfield has anything from Q-tips to appliances to general Allfield supplies. Allfield is one of the largest suppliers of bottled water in the Gulf. And remember, Allfield never changes transportation. Like the name says, Allfield has it all, covering the Architects area and the Gulf of Mexico. Allfield Equipment, 337-837-1003, 337-837-1003.
This hour of the Moon Griffon Show is brought to you by 1% List Acadiana. Call Shannon LeBlanc today at 337-522-0682. Save on fees, not on service.
Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show, 844-766-6607. Matthew James Tax, Wealth Management Hotline. John Kay is getting ready to join us with from Governor Landry's office. Aren't you glad how you just saw doing the show, take care of business all at the same time? You impressed?
You are even more talented than your audience knows.
John's over there going, hey, you're conducting business and talking on the show. Anyway,
I hear the intro music coming, and you're still selling. It's amazing.
I know. It's amazing, too. And I got a sale, so that was pretty good deal.
Gotta do what you gotta
hey, first of all, give everybody your official title.
Policy Director, Office of the Governor.
So, by the way, John's hosted the program. He's been fighting tax increases and things like that for a long time. So basically, you're going to be the guy that's going to help push with the governor's agenda through the legislature. You work with the legislature, not just you, but you're one of the lead guys as senior official with the Landry administration.
Yeah. So me and my team, we work on the policy side of things. So we come up with, or we research, we come up with ideas, and we work to get those into bill format, and we help the legislative team steer those through the legislature, through committees, through floor action to the governor's desk.
So there's a lot on the agenda, but let's just deal with a couple that we can deal with. Let's deal with education. Education savings account. I was at the Pelican Institute last week, and boy, that was a big deal. I got Dr. Brumley coming on again. He's going to talk about it. How important is this, number one? And number two, how hard is this going to be to get through? Y'all going to have to deal with the municipalities, the unions, people that don't want to ever change anything in the state of Louisiana. So how do you get this through?
I think you can look around us and see what other states are doing and see that this is something that is not only important, but it's becoming it's at the forefront of the minds of the people across the state. Alabama, just the end of last week, passed a universal ESA bill, sent it to the governor's desk.
Didn't Arkansas just do it?
Arkansas has had it a year or two. Texas, they had 4 or 5 special sessions this year trying to get it passed. Couldn't get it passed. Had elections this past weekend, and I think it was last week. And
they put it on the ballot for people to decide.
Well, no, the politicians who voted against it, some of the Republican politicians who voted against it, got run out of office as a result. So
what is the when you look at this, John? What is the biggest obstacle for getting this over? Is it what I said, municipalities, schools not understand, teachers think, oh, my God, I'm going to lose my retirement? What is it?
Yeah, I think in the past those things might have been the big problems. I think now it's understood by a lot of groups who have opposed it in the past that this is what the people want. And I think that as we get going in legislative session today and we hit the accelerator on that idea, I think it's gonna have a lot of support in the legislature. I think we're gonna have big numbers out supporting education savings accounts, and what that means it empowers the parent to have the leading voice in their child's education. That's what it does. That's what people in Louisiana want. That's what I want as a parent, and I think that's what we're going to be able to deliver.
Here's the other, and I know we're going to hear this as this moves forward. You're going to hurt public schools. It's going to cause public schools to close down. I will be willing to bet you. I don't have any statistics to prove what I'm getting ready to tell you. I will be willing to bet you, even in Louisiana, 80 to 85% or more, students and parents would choose to stay right where they are.
Yeah.
Tell me I'm wrong on that, and if y'all ever looked at any numbers dealing with that.
I don't know what the numbers are, but a lot of people in Louisiana are pleased with the education their child's getting, and they will absolutely stay at those schools. Public education is always going to be probably the biggest portion of education in the state of Louisiana.
You just want it to be good, but that's going to be the most.
We want to make sure that kids whose parents want to have an option on where to send their child are given that option. We saw through COVID, we've seen prior to COVID that public education is not working for everyone in the state. We have our literacy rate is, if not the lowest in the nation, one of the lowest in the nation. Our numeracy rate is low. Kids need help. They need to be able to be put in an environment where they can learn and be set up for success in life. And that's what we hope that this piece of legislation will give them.
How does it work in our savings account? So I want to go to private school. I want to go homeschool. They sending checks to these people? They just sending them to the school your choice? How does that work?
Yeah, so there will be a lot of the nuts and bolts of it will be run through BESC, so Board of Elementary and Secondary Education, and they'll make sure that the controls around the money are in place that they're going to legitimate educational expenses. But you're right. If you want to send your child to a private school, or if you want to homeschool your child like I was homeschooled, there will be mechanisms that allow you to use your tax dollars instead of being taxed and being double taxed by sending your child to a private school out of your own pocket. You'll be able to use your tax dollars instead to send them to the education institution of your choice. We'll keep them home.
And this will be a problem I ask, does it, you take a public school, let's just say they got 1,000, let's stick with 1,000 students, and all of a sudden they got 700. Well, there's not going to be as much money for that school anymore.
Yeah, I think that's probably a fairly drastic
But then you don't need as many teachers either, do you?
I think what we want to focus on is making sure that teachers in Louisiana are able to teach. Right now, they are forced to go through a lot of trainings that are repetitive in nature, that are outdated, but they're forced by state law to do that. So we want to make sure that those teachers are freed up to teach, because the public school teacher is important to the future of Louisiana, and we want to make sure that individual is able to stay in the classroom as much as possible and focus on the problems that we have. Like I mentioned earlier, the low literacy rate, the low numeracy rate. We want to make sure teachers are able to focus on their children in their classrooms and making sure that they're set up for success, they're set up for college, or they're set up for the workforce, they're set up to move out of high school and into the real world and be successful individuals in Louisiana.
John Kay, with the Jeff Landry, Governor Landry's administration policy. I'm going to call you policy wonk. John's going to call me.
People would argue with that.
Is there a state or an example of this that somebody can say, you know what, let me just, because I think I'm asking you questions I think that's going to be asked on the other side. Say, show me the states that's doing this that are successful.
Yeah, I think as far as the education savings account waive, the states that have recently done it that have shown some success, Utah is one of those that is kind of held up as one of the gold standards. Iowa has also done a good job. We've seen this, though, pop up in a bunch of states. We've seen it pop up in like you said earlier, Arkansas. It's coming to Alabama, Florida. The states that you would expect to see us behind on the leaderboard have already done it. Now we have a chance to join them and be in the top 15 in the country as far as school choice is concerned. So we're excited. We're excited, Moon, about those lists we've talked about for a long time, being on the bottom of those. Now's the time to raise ourselves up those lists. And
the education part is important. I will say this. We do have good pockets of education here. Okay? We really do. We just got some bad pockets, too. We got to try to get beyond that. If I was a parent, and I lived whatever area of the state, I would want my kid to have a better opportunity. And that's the ones you really focus on. People that are happy, whether they're in private, parochial, wherever they're at, you're not even talking about those folks. You're talking about somebody that says, my kid needs an opportunity.
Yeah.
This is their opportunity.
That's right.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Let me take a break. John Kay is going to stay a few more minutes. Licensing. This has been a big deal. I heard a lot about it when I was broadcasting last week at the Pelican Institute. But there's some y'all on too. All right, we're going to take a break. More of the Moon Griffon Show right here at the State Capitol on the 4th floor. We'll be right back. From the humbling beginning, Dino Hardwoods is striving to provide superior service and quality products for their customers. Hey, I know Charles Altman. He does a great job. If you're looking for lumber, Dino Hardwoods stocks a large selection of domestic and import hardwood lumber and cypress. You ought to see their stuff. Exotic lumber, they got that as well. Trust in Dino Hardwoods when it comes to your exotic lumber needs right now. Molding, plywood, paint, and L products, they are ready for you. They got 3 great locations. The corporate office is right here in Broussard, Louisiana. There's an office in Shreveport on 2801 Valley View Drive and one in Tyler, Texas, 12492 Highway 155 North. Hey, if you're looking for something different and something new and somebody who will service you, it's Dino Hardwoods. I'm telling you, don't forget Dino Hardwoods. DinoHardwoods.com, DinoHardwoods.com. Great locations. They can service you. They can deliver. DinoHardwoods.com. Check out this great Louisiana company. Folks, you hear me brag about an advertisement. South Star Urgent Care is the name you need to know. Listen, you look up, you're in the middle of the night, you're looking, God, where do we go? South Star Urgent Care. They open on weekends, they open at night, they can get you taken care of. If you're sick, if you're feeling bad, maybe you coughing, dehydrated, fever, flu, fractures, South Star Urgent Care wants to service you, and they're going to treat you like you want to be treated. They're going to get you in, get you out. You're not going to sit in a dark waiting room for a bunch of times. South Star Urgent Care. Go to SouthStarMoon.com, SouthStarMoon.com. You know you can register before you go and set your appointment. Hey, it's really cool. These folks at South Star greet you with a genuine smile and make you feel very comfortable. Folks, you're looking for the perfect urgent care? It's South Star Urgent Care. Go to SouthStarMoon.com, SouthStarMoon.com. SoftStar Urgent Care. It's the urgent care you need. Go to SoftStarMoon.com. SoftStarMoon.com.
Looking for a place?
Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show, 844-766-6607. Matthew James, Tax and Wealth Management Hotline, broadcasting in Baton Rouge in conjunction with our good old friends at Guarantee Broadcasting, 107.3 FM. And, of course, we're here at the state capitol on the 4th floor. Broadcasting today, got a lot of guests lined up. We're going to do a 2 more additional hours with Brian Haldane. We're going to do that in Guarantee only, or you can pick it up on Facebook or me on Facebook. That don't even seem right, does it? So anyway, John Kay, my special guest with the Landry administration. Hey, John, one of the things I heard over and over again when I was at the summit, Solution Summit the other day, which you used to be a part of, I think.
Yeah.
Was the licensing problems. They had people nationally talking about it and local talking about it, of trying to do away with all these licensing things that we have. So where are y'all at on that agenda?
So for the last, I think it's been an issue since Representative Emerson brought a bill 7 or 8 years ago to do with natural hair braiding, and that issue has kind of exploded over the years to cover a bunch of different areas of occupational licensure. And what that means is, for people who are listening and may not be familiar with it, it's a license you have to obtain from the government to participate in a given occupation. I believe there are 77 occupations in Louisiana, or professions, that you have to receive a license for before you can participate in commerce. That's a lot nationally. 77 out of 105 puts us towards the top of the list as far as how many occupations are licensed here in the state. One of the overarching things we want to do in this administration is we want to welcome people back to Louisiana. People who have moved to Texas, or they've moved to Alabama or Arkansas, wherever. We want them to come back because we want to have a thriving economy. We want to have a good education system. We want people to say, okay, it's time to go back to Louisiana. One of the things that may stand in their way as they get ready to come back to Louisiana is the licensure that we have in place, the licensing system that we have. The big push this year is going to be if you are licensed in another state. So let's say you're in Texas and you're a cosmetologist, or you're in Alabama and you're a tree trimmer, and you want to move back to Louisiana, that you can move here, pay your fee to the state. Say, I'm licensed in this other state. Here's my fee. I want to be licensed in Louisiana, and you're licensed. You don't have to go through hours or days or weeks or even a year of training.
Out a lot of bureaucracy.
Right. So right now, some of the occupations, some of the boards require training to occur if you're moving from another state. So until recently, for example, if you were a veterinarian in Texas and you'd been a veterinarian in Texas for 40 years and you wanted to be a veterinarian in Louisiana, you had to spend 1 year in a preceptorship, like an apprenticeship, doing that job for a low wage under an existing veterinarian here. That's not law anymore, but this would seek to fix things like that prevent people from coming here and working here who are qualified to do a job and can do it safely.
What about when we get these storms and hurricanes and things like that? You got people that want to come from out of state to help. Does it affect anything like that? If a carpenter or somebody has a license in Alabama and they're in construction, and we got to build homes, we got to build whatever, they're gonna have to? Will they be automatically exempted? You can come to work as long as they can prove they're legit.
Yeah.
Okay.
It would, and it would allow the boards to track them through the process. So if they come here and they do work and you have a bad experience with them, you can still track them down through the board because they would have to receive a license here. So it'll make it easier for people to go to the contractors board and say, is this person licensed in Louisiana? The answer should be yes, and then you can hire them to do that work for you, and you'll have some recourse if something were to go wrong.
Yeah. So it'll basically, you still need licensing. I guess we're going to still have the same number. It's just going to be different when somebody comes in and already licensed in another state. they can go to work.
Now, there may be other efforts that are coming in the future that would seek to reduce the number of licenses, but this year's focus, I think, is going to be on making it easier for people who want to come to Louisiana and do a job to be able to do that.
So if you're a florist, braiding hair, you can come in as long as you have a license.
Unfortunately, we're the only state in the country that license florists, but as far as hair braiding is concerned, if you do that in Texas and you're licensed to do it there, you could come here, pay the fee to the board, and you're ready to work.
But if you're a florist in another state, you can't come in and become a florist.
You would have to, unfortunately, get the florist license to do that.
That's why I brought it up, because I'm laughing at that. But if you're a florist out there, they probably cursing me going, I don't care what you say. They ought to have to get a florist license. But, man, I just never knew of anybody that put together a flower could hurt somebody. That's just me. I mean, maybe roses got thorns on them and they stick you. I don't know.
I think we've all seen Little Shop of Horrors, so the flowers come to life. I don't know, but
well, let's be honest. And I'm not picking on flowers. All this stuff is meant sometimes to stop the competition from coming. I always thought competition would probably make you better. Yeah. It's going to make you better, or go do something else.
Yeah, I think there's some of these licenses that have also been around for a long time, and maybe at one point in time it made sense to license a given occupation, and now it doesn't. Those are the types of things that we need to begin addressing.
Yeah, it's just small. Well, you want small business to be able to do good here.
That's right.
And if they can't even compete because they can't get a license, then you got a problem.
And in this instance, Moon, what we want is we want people to move to Louisiana. Period. And we want to make it as easy as possible for them to do that. We are losing people. We have been losing people for a while. You and I have talked about it. When I've hosted your program, I've talked about it. It is a big problem here. We want to fix that. And one of the things we can do is just make it open arms. Please, if you're considering moving to Louisiana, we want you come. We're going to make it as easy as possible.
Well, you know, when Governor Landry made his inaugurational speech, and I watched it. I wasn't there, but I watched it on TV. He talked about come back home. Come back home. Well, you can't come back home if you don't have jobs.
Right.
You can't come back home if you don't have the entrepreneurial spirit to allow people to go be the best they can be. That's just a fact.
That's right.
You can't. It's not going to work. But you got to start somewhere. And I don't like steps in the right direction, as you know. I like big things being done, and now we know where we are, because business communities, I don't care how big or small they are, they like to know, they want to plan as far out as they can. They want to know that things will be constant while I'm trying to build my business. And if they can't see that here, they'll go somewhere else.
You're right. And we saw it time and time again. We've made the wrong policy decisions in the state. We've seen businesses leave, or we've just seen them not set up here. And
look, you know what's sad? When you look around, I've been here all my life. And I lived in the northern part of the state. I lived in the southern part of the state. I lived in everything in between. You have too. Good people, hardworking people. Nobody can doubt that at all. We like to have a lot of fun too. But educated, not as much. And I don't mean that ugly, we're just not. But I'm telling you, there's people that have never been real educated. Well, educated in a field like oil and gas. They're educated enough to make a heck of a living, put their family through college, kids through college, and retire. So they got the work ethic. I think there's a lot of work ethic here. But you got to have opportunities. Yeah. Opportunities are not here for young people. Nobody can argue with me on that, because we wouldn't be losing them if the opportunity was here.
Yeah, and Moon, you know, I've lived in Shreveport, Lafayette, New Orleans, Baton Rouge, all over the place. And the thing that's constant across the state of Louisiana is people like me and you, we think about politics all the time. It's our job. We talk about it. We work in it. But most people don't. They just want government out of the way. They want to be able to live their lives. They want to be able to keep their kids and their family and their friends home, and just not run into barrier after barrier that is artificially erected for them and prevents them from being successful. That's what people care about, and that's what this push would help
to achieve. It's the difference between you and me. You've lived all over the state. I've been run out all over the state. They run me out.
It's not much different over here.
No, it's just we got a unique situation, a unique opportunity. And I believe Louisiana finally has a unique opportunity. I thought it was totally blown away the last 8 years. I just hope the last 8 years didn't put us back 20. Because the last 8 years, the biggest thing I'm hearing from legislators is that last 4 years to 8 years, leadership from the governor, speaker, and the Senate president, totally night and day now.
Well,
they feel like they got an opportunity and they can talk to somebody, and nobody's cutting them below the kneecaps.
Well, it's time to start looking forward and stop looking backwards. It's time to create a new future for Louisiana.
Great. John Kay with the Governor Landry's office. All right, John, thanks. Always a pleasure. We'll take a break. Dr. Brumley's supposed to join us, so we're looking forward to it. We'll be right back. Line One is a business telecom provider. Line One specializes in cloud-based communication with superior customer service. If you're frustrated with phone bills you can't understand, endless hold time to customer support, and phone system that is not meeting your needs, then you need to go to Line.1 and schedule a free consultation to advance your business phone system. Line One, technology with a human touch. Go to Line.1 and tell them Moon sent you. Again, that is Line.1.
Hi, I'm Henry.
News Talk, 96.5, KPEL, Brobridge, Lafayette, a Town Square media station, broadcasting from the Matthew James Financial Studio.
It's not helpful. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what Israel's prime minister says if the U.S. and Israel are not united in the war in Gaza.
It's either Israel or Hamas. There's no middle way. I mean, we have to have that victory. We can't have 3/4 of a victory.
And Netanyahu tells Fox to achieve that victory, Israel has to go into the city of Rafah, where Hamas leaders keep hiding out. President Biden's called that crossing a red line, with more than 1 million civilians sheltering there as a Muslim holy month begins.
Palestinians gathered supplies over the weekend for Ramadan. The first day of fasting is today. The question now is how and when Israeli forces will enter Gaza's southernmost city of Rafah.
Fox's Trey Yingst in Tel Aviv. That's just one area of concern for the Senate to consider today at an Intel hearing on worldwide threats.
The Director of National Intelligence, the FBI, and CIA will discuss a host of issues involving U.S. national security. Russia, China, and Iran are all likely to come up, with the House set to vote this week on a bill that would ban TikTok in the United States due to the social media platform's connection to the CCP. With illegal migrant apprehensions surging along the southern border, including hundreds on the terror watch list, it's likely that several senators will focus their attention on border security.
Fox's Ryan Schmelz, another issue for Boeing to investigate after numerous recent issues, including the blown-out door plug on a flight in January. This one happened today on a LATAM Airlines flight from Australia to New Zealand.
The Boeing 787-9 Dreamliner had a technical issue causing the plane to suddenly lose altitude. Well, dozens were wounded. Many of them were taken to the hospital upon landing, and one person is in serious condition. And some on board were reportedly thrown to the ceiling when the plane plummeted.
Fox's Alex Hogan. An American man's been sentenced to life in prison in Germany after being convicted of murder, attempted murder, and rape in an attack on 2 American women last summer, pushing them down into a ravine, killing one. America's listening to Fox News.
Don't let everyday aches and pains keep you from living your best life.
I don't think I really understood what people meant when they talked about pain until I started feeling it myself.
Start feeling better every day with Relief Factor, a daily supplement designed to support your body's fight against aches and pains.
Not only do I move better without pain, I just feel better.
Created by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients that target 4 metabolic pathways to address pain. Relief Factor doesn't just mask aches and pains, it helps reduce or even eliminate them.
Today, I do the things I love, and it doesn't occur to me to think about pain.
You can feel the difference all day, every day.
Join the over 1 million people who have tried Relief Factor's 3-week Quick Start Kit. It's only $19.95 and comes with our Feel Better or Your Money Back guarantee. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF. That's 1-800-4RELIEF.
Court-appointed special advocates, or CASA, are specially trained volunteers that help secure safe homes for abused and neglected children. Don't let these innocent victims slip through the cracks of our complicated legal system. Get involved today. Call CASA at 268-5111. This nonprofit organization moment brought to you by News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
Did you just look down at your phone? You did it again, didn't you? You know, you're flying down the road in a 3-ton hunk of steel. And a text takes your eyes off the road for an average of 5 seconds. At 55 miles per hour, that's long enough to travel the length of a football field and cause some serious damage. Turn it off. Trust me, whatever it is, you'll live.
Learn more at StopTextsStopWrecks.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Why are interscholastic sports called the last classroom of the day? Because they teach students important life lessons like teamwork, accountability, and perseverance. School sports are so much more than a game. They're about developing the whole person. That's why they're an essential part of every student's education.
Encourage your student to participate in the last classroom of the day. Interscholastic sports in Louisiana. This message presented by the LHSAA and the Louisiana High School Athletic Directors Association.
South Louisiana's biggest St. Patrick's Day celebration is back. Patty in the Park, Saturday, March 16th at Park International, downtown Lafayette, presented by Bud Light. Featuring The Good News, 337, DJ Digital, and the People's Champ, Paul Law.
What it do is Power Wow, and I'm the People's Champ.
Tickets available now at Eventbrite.com and all Legends locations. The only official after Patty party happening at Downtown Legends Patio. Official Patty in the Park t-shirt by Mike James Entertainment. Wristbands by The Ruins. Designated driver tent by Service Chevrolet.
The views expressed in the following show are those of the hosts or hosts only. They do not represent News Talk 96.5 KPEL or Town Square Media.
Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show on the road, beautiful Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And we're here for the rest of the day, basically. Session starts. We're here on the fourth floor. Glad to be here on the fourth floor, broadcasting, carrying some things and interviewing people that we get a chance to talk to on a daily basis. I get to meet a guy on this next guest. He's been on the program many times. I don't think I've really met him personally. And if I did, I apologize to him. Dr. Cade Brumley, he's a superintendent of education. Good morning.
Hey, thanks for having me, Moon. Glad to be in person this time.
Well, it's a little close. I figured you might have a chance with the session just starting, kind of hanging around. I know you got to be excited. Can I ask you, I know the big agenda item, but when you come up to the session, I'm sorry, when you deal with Bessie, you deal with education. I know it's money. There's some changes y'all want to make. Kind of give us y'all agenda for this session, things that y'all want to see accomplished.
Yeah, it kind of has the first of the school year feel today. It's game day, and the ball's in our court, and I think we have both an opportunity and an obligation to make some significant changes on the state of Louisiana. I think of the things that we've tried to do over the last few years are working. But with this new Bessie, with this new legislature and a governor who...
Well, it's a new day for you, right?
It's a new day. And a governor who's not going to veto some of the school choice legislation. I think that's all really powerful. And look forward to kicking off today and working our way through the session.
Hey, you got to feel like a kid in a candy shop because the Bessie board... Is that who hired you?
Yeah, I'm appointed by Bessie, and so was just recently appointed for a new 4-year term, and really excited to have that runway.
Well, you got that, but the Bessie board, what it looked like, even from the people you appointed to the new board now, to me, and I'm just going to get your take on it without going into names, it's got to be night and day. You got to feel really, really good. You might have felt pretty good, but now you feel really good.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think we have a really strong board. Some of the actions of the previous board have already been undone. We made some recommendations there. This new board's taken strong action on raising the bar, on removing some of the radical ideologies that are in schools, on expanding liberty. And so we're really excited about those things. What's interesting, too, about this board is we have 4 ex-legislators that are on our State Board of Education, between Paul Hollis and Lance Harris, Simone Champagne, and gosh, I'm forgetting one, but we've got Conrad Appel, and so we've got 4 ex-legislators on this board.
I know 3 of the 4.
Yeah, and so I think that forms a really good bond between the State Board of Education and the legislature too, because some of the connections that they have, which greases the wheels in many ways, so that we can get these priority initiatives taken care of.
This is probably going to be tough for you to answer in a way, but probably not. Who are the nemesis of trying to stop real change to come to education? I'm the type, I believe you ought to point them out. I'm not actually mention names, but I got to believe unions. I got to believe some of the municipalities that just don't want to change anything. Yeah. But who are you fighting for change? Because I think if you took a poll with the citizens of Louisiana, they're going to say, look, enough's enough. Let's go in a new direction. Yeah. So who's the people you got to battle?
Well, I think it's just the establishment in and of itself. People who do not want to make some shifts, people who feel threatened by shifts. Shifts. Take the school choice initiative. It's a prime example. Allowing money to be directed by the family, putting parents in the driver's seat. That threatens individuals, and it shouldn't, because I think, number one, it elevates the family. Number two, competition makes everyone better. And three, on the school choice piece, I think that we're at an economic disadvantage if we don't get this done. And so you have groups throughout the state who unfortunately are not in favor of that, because it challenges the things that exist today. And some would say some of the fiefdoms that exist today.
Well, no, it's not. Dr. Kay Brumman, my special guest, it's not just education. Start talking about taxes and municipalities, and everybody freaks out because, and I had a former legislator tell me, this is the way we always did it. Mm-hmm. Said, yeah, but look at the results. Yeah. And so I think you can probably say that this is the way we always did it. Yeah, but look at the results. It's a new day. You're trying to make this a new day in Louisiana. If you took a poll with the average person out there that has a kid in school, they're going to tell you they want the best for their kids. Do you know of any parents that don't really want the best for their kids?
Yeah, I've never met one.
I haven't either.
Met one. Yeah.
They would much rather their kids do better than them.
That's right. And so anything we can do to empower the parents, I think, is important. But for us, it's pretty simple. I want to go back to the basics, teaching kids how to read and do foundational math at an early level, teaching them, the importance of the country, civic responsibilities. Beyond that, redesigning the high schools. We've talked about that many times. Right now our high schools are not positioned in a way in which they're preparing students at mass to be prepared for what's next. I think we've totally diminished career and technical education over the years. We've told everybody you have to go to college or you're lesser than, and I think that's a mistake. Beyond that, we want to elevate the teaching profession. We want to empower parents. And so those are the things that we're focused on in terms of a legislative agenda this upcoming session. And we have legislators that are champions for us to help get this done. And I think we're aligned with the governor's office to see these things through.
Let me throw a few misnomers out there, and you may have one bigger than the ones I'll give you. So the misnomer out there is we're trying to close down public school systems. That's a lie. They're trying to just shut certain schools down. I don't think that's the goal either. I know, just talking to you and watching the agenda, your goal is those kids being the best they can be so they can go be the best they can be one day.
Yeah.
And so what are some of the misnomers that are out there that, because there's going to be things thrown against everything y'all trying to do. Forget the system. I want to know the misnomers out there, because you're not trying to take away retirement system. I hear all this stuff and I go, where do y'all get this from?
Yeah. I think a couple that come to mind immediately, and I'm going to keep beating the school choice issue, but people think that the reason for offering school choice is to end public education in the state of Louisiana.
That's what I hear.
I don't think that's true. I don't think that if that were true, I don't know that I would be a part of that. I am a graduate of a public school. I have taught in public schools. I have led public schools.
Hell, I've been kicked out of them. Go ahead.
I've been kicked out of gyms. But the truth here is, for me, it's offering a portfolio of options. A traditional neighborhood school. We have fantastic traditional neighborhood schools and teachers and leaders out there in those schools. Offering public charters that make sense. Protecting the independence of homeschool families. Now looking at non-public schools and how we can have ESAs. All of these things just create a stronger overall portfolio that gives parents options. At the end of the day, Moon, I believe within the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, even if universal school choice is passed, at the end of the day, the majority of kids are going to be in their traditional neighborhood school. That's where the kids are. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't offer choice to everyone up front and from the beginning.
But you say you've heard them. I don't have to tell you, but you've heard them too, where we're scared of teachers and not gonna have retirement. I've heard all this stuff, and I'm going. If you listen and look at the agenda, Dr. Brumley, you, the governor, some people in the legislature, the whole goal is one. We got to have great teachers. Nobody's kicking teachers out. But number two, the biggest goal is to get those kids from point A to point C so they can go in the real world.
That's right.
Whether that be college, work, whatever. And I think what happens is the politics, and I don't have to tell you, it gets involved with too much of what you're really trying to do. I think the only agenda, and I've seen everything you've written, I've been following you for years, we've had you on a program a bunch of times, is that you care about the students and the parents being in charge of those students. What the heck is wrong with that?
Yeah.
That looks so simple. It's that simple. They got to come up with a way to destroy something as simple and wholesome as what you're talking about.
Well, that's number one, but also I want to point out, and you raised a good point just prior to that, and that's the importance of the teacher. Like whenever we talk about teachers, you know, our retention rates for teachers in the state are up. You know, we're retaining more teachers, but we still have shortages. But that doesn't mean we have shortages across the board. We have shortages in high needs areas. We need more calculus teachers. We need more chemistry teachers. We need more teachers willing to work in high need schools. And so that's why whenever I talk about differentiated compensation or performance pay or these types of things, like I think from a market standpoint, we have to target our resources to slice these vacancies to ensure that every kid has access.
When it comes out of your mouth that we need some, some teachers may be paid differently over here. They take that as, oh, here we go. We just want to. That's not what you're saying.
No.
I just listened to what you said. There's some needed positions that you're going to have to pay more. And then there's some needed positions in some schools that people may not want to go teach. That is a difference from just your average school.
We had about 2,500 teaching vacancies a few years ago. We started implementing some of these practices, which are not always popular, but with some groups. But now we're down to 1,000 vacancies. But if I look at those 1,000 vacancies, yeah, sure, we have some across the board issues. I get it. But at the end of the day, they are high need areas: high school science, K-12 special ed, high school math. And then I think we ought to be incentivizing our best teachers to stay with performance or merit pay. But beyond pay, Moon, like whenever I talk to teachers, what do they want? They want a good school leader that they find acceptable, that'll work with them. They want the opportunity to get better at their job, and they want limited disruptions from teaching. You know, whether that is excessive training, whether that's having to deliver a scripted lesson, whether that's student behavior that's preventing them from teaching other kids from learning. We want to take care of those issues, and that's on our agenda.
No, I'm glad you brought that up. I have family members that are teachers, and they work in areas that they're paid really well, and this is close family members, and both of them told me a few Christmases ago that I don't want no more pay. I want the principal and the people that discipline these kids to help us, to come and reinforce us. That was their biggest problem at the time. Let me hold you because I want to keep you a little longer. I want to come back and talk a little bit about savings account, education and savings account, because I know you're very familiar. How they work. I don't think everybody understands how they work. I'll let you come back and explain. His name is Dr. Cade Brumley. He's our superintendent of education right here in the great state of Louisiana. More with him. We're at the 4th floor of the Capitol in conjunction with our good friends at Guaranty Broadcasting. You're listening to the Moon Griffon Show. Line One is a business telecom provider. Line One specializes in cloud-based communication with superior customer service. If you're frustrated with phone bills you can't understand, endless hold time to customer support, and phone system that is not meeting your needs, then you need to go to Line.One and schedule a free consultation to advance your business phone system. Line One, technology with a human touch. Go to Line.One and tell them Moon sent you. Again, that is Line.One. Oh, Shucks, you've been hearing me brag about Shucks. Been going there for many, many years. Shucks does a great job. If you like seafood, you got to go to Shucks in Abbeville. I'm telling you right now, there's shrimp, there's oysters, there's fish, all fresh every day right off the boat. So if you want something fresh and you want fresh seafood, you got to go to Shucks. Don't forget, if you're having a party, call Shucks. Let them cater the event for you, or you can go pick it up. Shucks, they're waiting on you. If you want a great time and you want great food, you got to go to Shucks in Abbeville. Shucks, They're good. Folks, I want to tell you about one of my new advertisers, Adapt Concepts AC Service Repairs. Serving all of Acadiana, surrounding areas, and the Gulf of Mexico for over 6 years. Full-service AC and heating company, repairs, installation, and preventive maintenance, which is very, very important. Installation service, professional quality services, focus on creating value for you. Terms of certified technician, 24/7 customer service, and free consultation. I'm talking Adapt Concepts, AC Service Repairs. You want the professionals, you want the best, this is them. Purchase a qualified high-efficient system for maintenance, plus get a free 12-year parts and labor warranty. Wow, don't you want to know about that? Call them at 337-408-8202. That's 337-408-8202. Or go to the website, adapt-ac.com. That's adapt-ac.com.
Are you looking?
Hi, hello, welcome back. Moon Reform Show on the road, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, in conjunction with Guaranteed Broadcasting. And, of course, we're here at the state capitol. We're on the 4th floor today. We got a chance to visit with a lot of people. It's an honor to have the guest we have now, Dr. Kate Brumley, who's the superintendent of education, doing a great job, and it's got another term with the new Bessie board coming in, new governor, new legislation, new leadership. I'm sure that he threw me a basketball, said game's on. I take it you're a basketball fan.
I am.
It's that time of year, by the way.
That's right. I grew up in Toledo, on Toledo Bend and Sabine Parish Moon, so I grew up with a basketball in my hand. So it's just fitting that it's game day.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I got some good friends over there called Living the Dream, and I got to meet some of the finest people I ever met. They took me fishing. Now, you're going to say they took me fishing. That's why I think they fine, but they really were great, great people. It's somebody looking for a guide service. They need to check them out.
Did they take you fishing or take you catching?
No, this was they took me catching. They took us sockeye fishing for people in the south, white perch fishing for people in the north. And then after that, the way they're set up, they can cook it for you. So we left, went to the hotel, cleaned up, come back. We're cooking homemade hush puppies, fish. It was unbelievable.
These are friends worth having.
Hey, catch it that day and eat it that day.
That's right. That's awesome.
Man, just super people. I wanted to bring up, and that's why I said it's going to take maybe a couple more segments. I wanted to bring up the savings account, education savings account. Had a chance to talk to Governor Ducey, former governor out of Arizona, and other people last week. But I want you to explain to us how this works, because the first thing I'm going to hear is they're taking money from the local school district. But I want you to tell us what this is about and how it works.
Yeah. So it will depend on the instrument itself and the way in which it's crafted for legislative consideration. But essentially what happens with an ESA, an educational savings account, is a particular dollar amount is deposited into an account for every student. And the parent controls that account. And they can direct those resources in ways in which have been approved. So that could be tuition to a non-public school. It could be tutoring services. It could be some form of resource. What it does is it takes a state-assigned amount of money, and it gives the parent the ability to direct that in a certain way. And what's important here, Moon, I've heard a lot about this and people saying, well, you're taking from local communities and their own tax base. With an ESA, that's not what happens. It is a state appropriation. So local sales tax dollars, local property tax dollars, that stays with the locals.
Okay, I want you to repeat that again loud and clear, because that is one of the big drifts of this, and you're going to have people hollering about it. Nothing to do with local tax dollars.
No, and in fact, our state funding for education is called the MFP, and an educational savings account would have to be outside of the MFP, not even a component of the MFP. It would be an appropriation, a line item, and it would just be of state dollars. So it's not going to end up taking dollars from the locals in terms of local sales and local property tax. We're just talking about an assigned amount of money for every student of state dollars.
Will that take money out of the MFP?
Well, it won't take from the MFP, but what you could have, if you had a student that was assigned and they were attending a local public school, for instance, and they're no longer going there, then that school would not get the state share of the MFP anymore because they're not servicing that child anymore.
No, and I get it. If you got 1,000 students and now you only got $850.
Yeah.
But if you're going to get money based on $850.
You mentioned Governor Ducey in Arizona, and they have had the ESA program longer than anywhere else in the country, I believe.
But he's out there pushing it now.
And they're only at about 3% of eligible students. So of all the students eligible to participate, it's about 3%. Now, I think ours will be higher than that because we have such a foundation of Catholic education in the state of Louisiana. It predates public education. But we're just talking about state dollars, not local dollars.
Okay, you mentioned about the percentage, and there's no way to prove one way or the other. I just thought that this is not probably going to affect more than 10 or 15% of the kids, which would be a lot more than 3%. That's not that much.
Yeah.
And really what you're looking at is some kids and parents like the school they're at. They're not going to change, correct? It's going to be somebody that goes, I got a problem here, and I need new direction and a new change. That's not going to be a high percentage.
And I spoke with a superintendent of a local system, and would not want a name repeated.
No, that's fine.
But he said, "Look, bring it on. We're going to have to compete. We're going to have to get better. We're going to have to make sure that the public is aware of our services and what we're offering, and we're going to have to improve our outcomes." And so I think that if everyone should think about that,
look like a little competition.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty healthy.
You know, a lot of principals, maybe not all, but there's always been where coaches ended up moving into the principal's office. And I know why. Strong disciplinarian. Well, coaches like to compete.
Yeah.
To them, that may be a challenge. Somebody has a good public school right now may go, I don't care. I don't think we're going to lose many people. The other thing is they may gain some back.
And I always told people I hate losing more than I love winning. And I think that it will create an edge out there of competition to make everything better.
Man, what is wrong with that? There we go. All right, I'll keep you one more segment. And what I want to talk about is who's going to be the opposition to this? Because let's just be blunt. It sounds great. I believe it is great. And Louisiana, change is tough. And trust me, from a guy who's been doing this 30 years, I ain't seen a whole lot change, and it frustrates me. His name is Dr. Cave Brumley. We'll come back and visit with him. You're listening to the Moon Griffon Show.
Louisiana is unique. The food, the festivals, even the bugs. It's termite season. Did you know termites are responsible for over $1 billion worth of damage in Louisiana alone? For over 60 years, J&J Exterminating has been shielding homes and businesses. 100% guaranteed against termites, pests, and mosquitoes. Louisiana-owned, customer-focused. J&J Exterminating.
Call him today, make the pests go away. J&J Exterminating.
Get the shield.
Yeah. Spring is here, and if you love seafood like I do, you need Ragin' Cajun, the original Cajun seasoning, and Ragin' Cajun's delicious seafood dinners like etouffee, Creole sauce, shrimp and grits, seafood bisque, gumbo, and roux. All Ragin' Cajun products are made right here in Acadiana. Folks, trust me, they are good. Ask for the Ragin' Cajun and all your favorite grocery stores today. Ragin' Cajun, the original Cajun seasoning. Ask them for the Ragin' Cajun. Oh, man, I love me some Superior Grill. Superior Grill, the best Mexican food in the state of Louisiana, bar none, baby. They are the best, and you're going to love them, too. They got great drinks and food, and the atmosphere is second to none. They know what they're doing. They know how to serve. Hey, folks, you do know they cater. They do cater. Superior Grill, located in New Orleans, Shreveport, and Baton Rouge, Lafayette right around the corner. You're going to love Superior Grill. You're going to love the atmosphere. You're going to love the taste. They can handle anything you got. Folks, they got happy hours. They really serve the people. And you're going to love Superior Grill. I love it. You're going to love it. I cannot wait to go to Superior Grill. I've been going to Superior Grill now for 29 years. Let me tell you, I know all about Superior Grill. And I want good Mexican food. I'm going to Superior Grill. I want to see you there. We're going to have a blast.
Mike here from Rebath. Dear John, uncontrolled high blood pressure is serious, and I can quit whenever I want. But when I quit, you quit. Sincerely, your heart.
To get your high blood pressure to a healthy range, visit heart.org/blood pressure. A message from the American Heart Association and the Ad Council.
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. That means it could be you, your best man, your worst man.
Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org to know where you stand. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its pre-diabetes awareness partners.
This hour brought to you by Matthew James Tax and Wealth Management. Online at MatthewJames.com.
Hi, hello. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show, 844-766-6607. Matthew James Tax Wealth Management Hotline. Honored to have Dr. Cade Brumley joining us. And he's been with us a little while, but I wanted to keep him one more segment. First of all, let teachers teach. Let's go there. And then I want to go back to some of the opposition you're going to run into with the savings account. But what is let teachers teach?
Yeah, you know, you gave me permission to not share this, but I think I'm going to anyway.
Well, that's up to
I
you.
actually ripped the governor off with this title in his inauguration speech. I'm sitting there at the Capitol, and he said, "You know what we need to do? We need to let teachers teach." And I said, "Okay, what can I do with that?" Well, I'd already planned to pull together a group of teachers from across the state, teachers, high quality teachers, and say, "Look, what are the challenges that you're facing? What are the things that are prompting you to not tell a kid to go be a teacher? What are things that are you're seeing people leave the profession?" We're not talking about pay. And I said we're going to focus on 3 issues. 1, excessive trainings and requirements for that. 2, scripted lessons where you don't have the ability to exercise the art of teaching. And 3, student behavior that keeps you from teaching and other kids from learning.
By the way, that's a biggie.
And those are big
That's
issues.
a biggie.
Those are big issues. And so we're taking those issues on. I got about 30 teachers from across the state. We're going to start that this week. We're going to take that on. And I've been very clear. I named Kylie Altier, who's Louisiana's Teacher of the Year, as the chair of the group. And I've been very clear with her. She's an amazing teacher. I said, "Kylie, I want recommendations at the end. We're not just doing this for an activity. I want recommendations at the end that I can go to people and say, these are the shifts we're going to make. We're going to make this better." And so, you know, I'm going to give time to it over the next 2 months, and I fully expect that we'll have recommendations at the end. And if we do, whether it's a state board issue, whether it's a local board issue, or whether it's a legislative action, like I'm going to be pushing for those things.
You know, yeah, I'm laughing while you were saying that, and I'll tell you the story. Somebody fussed at me one time about teachers' pay. I had a lady in a grocery store just patting her foot, and I'm caught out of the corner of my eye. I didn't know her, she didn't know me, but she knew who I was. And when I got right by, I said, "Yes, ma'am, can I help you?" She said, well, what's your teachers make? And I said, "I've been saying for 2 years I ought to make $100,000 a year, so we never talk about teacher pay again." And she went, her jaw dropped. And then we started talking, and she had heard somebody say that I said you only work. That is not what we were talking. But anyway, that's fine. So we were able to talk, and we talked about 15 minutes. It was kind of cool because I'm learning from a teacher still, and went back and forth. And I thought, you know, and I told her this. I said, teachers, we're going to find out about education, how to get kids, and go talk to the teachers. I didn't say the unions. Forget that. Forget money. Talk about how we can teach these kids and move them forward.
Yeah.
And it's like we're talking to the wrong people. Politicians, God bless y'all. And I'm saying you're a politician, but God bless y'all, because y'all don't have the answer to everything, and never have and never will. But teachers, this is what they do. They've seen these kids for 10, 20, 30 years. They know what they're talking about.
And we have some fantastic teachers in the state of Louisiana. Look, I know we're not talking about this, but I'm going to plug it. Our national rankings for the nation's report card, U.S. News, they're higher than they have ever been right now. That's because of teachers. That's because of involved parents. That's because of a legislature that involved itself with education. But I just think we're not where we can be, and we've got to keep pushing. And so we need to retain those amazing teachers and bring more people into the fold.
Okay, I want to back up education savings accounts. What's going to be the biggest obstacle that you're going to have to face, because it's coming?
Yeah.
Y'all got to foresee what you're dealing with. So in your mind, what are some obstacles that you're really going to have to battle to get this done? Because they're not handing this to y'all.
No, I mean, look, I think the governor's office, with key leadership in the legislature, they've got to be ready, because this isn't just going to happen because, I said so. A case is going to have to be built, and people are going to have to appreciate how this is good for families, it's good for kids, it's good for the economy across the board. I think a lot of conversations around this obviously have happened over the last 2 years, which is, it's made the ground more fertile for this particular session. Bills were put on Governor Edwards' desk that were vetoed. So there's already work that has happened here. But I think that the expectation from the public at this point is that this legislature and this governor gets this done.
Oh, no, it's 100% wide open. Will you be disappointed if they water it down too much? Because let's be blunt, you're dealing with the legislature and the governor. I'm not talking about this one. It may be different. But it seems like when we want to pass something really good, they water it down. You've got to be concerned because a watered-down version doesn't help. This is what I mean by not taking a step in the right direction. This is what I mean, you can call it a gigantic leap. It's like moving us forward way up the line. And that would be my biggest fear at this point. It looks like you got a lot of people on the agenda. A lot of people agree with you. But, man, we got to take some big steps. We don't need big steps. We need something really big to happen.
Well, and look, I may be giving a card to whatever opposition is out there right now, but the legislators have to be prepared for amendments that would cause the bill to be watered down. They have to be prepared for it. They have to know how to rebut those things. And I'm not talking about a specific ESA instrument. I'm just saying in general, have to be ready. Champions have to be ready for amendments to water it down. They have to be prepared to fight those off.
Here's another big question I got for you. Let's say we get everything y'all wanted to get done in the legislature. Let's say we made the big, gigantic, forward, miracle that I'm waiting for here in Louisiana. Is this something we notice in a year, 2 years, 6 months? Because I always say you got to be able to point to something that started a resurgence in education in Louisiana. Not just in education. I can talk about everything. What would make you feel like, hey, in X amount of years, we should see a difference?
Well, look, we can talk about educational choice. I think it's important. But also, the other side of the conversation has to be around simple things like teaching kids to read, foundational math, these high schools, because at the end of the day, we're still going to have kids in our traditional public, our public charters, and we have to make sure they're all better and stronger. We have seen movement. But we have to continue to see that movement. Being in the low 40s isn't good enough. We as a state educationally, although it's the highest we've ever been, we need to keep making movement down to number one.
Yeah, I agree. And I thank you, the guy, for the job. Dr. K. Brumley, my special guest. If we get to those success stories, though, there's going to be a time frame put on it. And you're probably right. You can't put exact time on it. But keep moving up the ladder would be a tremendous improvement for Louisiana. Because as you know, when people they want to move to this state, and a company wants to come here, or people want to move to the state because a company wants to hire them, they're going to look at two things. The first is going to be education. Number two is probably going to be, can my spouse get a job that's comparable to my spouse's job in another state? So those two things kind of go hand in hand. I know we're educating people because I see them leave every day.
Yep.
That breaks my heart. I've ran into so many people, Dr. Brumley, that have 2 and 3 and 4 kids. There's none of them here now. Because I think that educating them is one thing. Having jobs, which is not your field, is another thing. But they got to kind of go hand in hand.
Well, you look at the Southern Renaissance that's happening economically. It's happening everywhere, basically, except Louisiana. We are seeing out-migration, not in. And that's reflective not just in the general population, but in our numbers.
The ones leaving are the ones you're educating that are being educated properly.
Yeah, and that's we see that in our numbers of kids in schools as well. It mirrors the population exit. So we have to flip that around. And this state board, from an educational standpoint, the legislature, the governor, we have a responsibility to get that done.
Well, I think everything from the governor to the legislature to the superintendent to the Bessie board is in place. Tell people the other day that the talk's over.
That's right.
Y'all got to have some help, but the talk's over. We got to walk it now.
I was talking to a principal the other day, and she said, I heard you speak, and I never truly understood how the educational program and the outcomes makes a difference with the economy and how businesses could move into the state. She had just never thought of it before. But whenever I laid it out there, she said, oh, my God, we have to continue to do better so that businesses will want to come to our state. And I said, amen. That's right. That's what we have to be doing.
Everything we're doing here in other states as well, everything goes hand in hand. The jobs, the education system. You want to see infrastructure improvement? You got to have jobs. You got to be able to keep and retain those young professionals that, and by the way, I'm not just talking about people who are college educated. I'm talking about high school kids that graduate that are very educated, but they decide not to go to college, but they got skills and they're developing them skills in other areas. And then they look up and say, well, I could make 50% more in another state. Mm-hmm. You know, there's insurance concerns and all that, which you have nothing to do with. So it's kind of a big picture deal, and I'm hoping and praying that this is the turn in the next 4 years we're going to see drastic change. That's my hope. That's my prayer for Louisiana.
We have a lot of work to do, but I think that, as in the movie Hoosiers, my team is on the floor. The team is on the floor. Now we just all have to get this work done.
No doubt about it. Always a pleasure, sir. You're welcome anytime.
Appreciate it.
All right, we're going to take one more break. We'll be back. And, of course, don't go nowhere. And especially if you're in Baton Rouge, you can check us out on Facebook with Brian Haldane. We'll do 2 more extra hours. We got some guests coming in, insurance stuff to talk about, and we'll do all that then. All right, got to take a break. Be right back. Spring is here, and if you love seafood like I do, you need Ragin' Cajun, the original Cajun seasoning, and Ragin' Cajun's delicious seafood dinners like etouffee, Creole sauce, shrimp and grits, seafood bisque, gumbo and roux. All Ragin' Cajun products are made right here in Acadiana. Folks, trust me, they are good. Ask for the Ragin' Cajun and all your favorite grocery stores today. Ragin' Cajun, the original Cajun seasoning. Ask them for the Ragin' Cajun.
As Louisiana's only fiberglass manufacturer and fabricator, C-Safe Fiberglass Grading and Structural Systems has provided corrosion-resistant products to the Gulf Coast for over 45 years. Our fiberglass grading, cable trays, and structural shapes are ideal to replace corroded, rotting building products and can be custom fabricated by the best fiberglass craftsmen in the world, right here in Lafayette. Contact C-Safe or visit our website at csafe.com. That's SEA like the ocean, SAFE.com.
Louisiana is unique. The food, the festivals, even the bugs. It's termite season. Did you know termites are responsible for over $1 billion worth of damage in Louisiana alone? For over 60 years, J&J Exterminating has been shielding homes and businesses. 100% guaranteed against termites, pests, and mosquitoes. Louisiana-owned, customer-focused. J&J Exterminating.
Call him today, make the pests go away. J&J Exterminating.
Get the shield.
Yeah.
John Wayne prays on.
No.
Hi, hello. Welcome back. Last segment of this hour of the Moon Griffon Show, 844-766-6607. It is a Matthew James Tax and Wealth Management Hotline. If you'd like to be part of the program, your opportunity. Don't forget, you can always email me, moon@moongriffon.com. I was reading this from the Rich State, Poor State Economic Performance Rank. We ranked 50th. That's about 50 states. They didn't count Washington, D.C. Economic performance rank, backward-looking measure based on the state's performance, equal weighted average. 3 important performance variables shown. The variables are highly influenced by state policy. And showed us 50th. We were 48th last year, so we went backwards. This watch is all of a sudden taking us through the Bill Edwards years, which weren't good. Also, that was in the economic part of it, the out-migration part of it. If you look at the chart, in 12 and 13, we hardly had any out-migration. 14 and 15 was a little more. But if you look at 16, when Governor Edwards came here, it started big, and it's been out-migrating ever since. Okay? So it shows where we are on that go. And also, non-farm payroll employment, we ranked 46th. And that's been getting worse. So, you know, it's numbers that need to change. Will the new governor and the new legislature, the Bessie board for Dr. Brumley, which I always told you I've been impressed with him from day one. You know, how he got that job at Bessie was almost a fluke because they've hired somebody who really is trying to change the state of Louisiana. And now with the new board, the Bessie board that he has right now, it's going to be a tremendous change. I'm going to bring Brian Haldane. Come here, Brian, real quick. Bring Brian Haldane in for pretty quick. And he is, as you know, because he's been on here before, he handles all the stuff at Guarantee 107.3 FM. And I mean, I call him as a program director, talk show host, and a little bit of everything. Because I know Brian's probably, you probably have more to do than what I'd mentioned.
Well, and technically, I don't even have that title, so it's all good. No, that's Cade's job as title, and Bo makes sure everything runs perfectly. So, you know, I just stand by and collect all the glory.
You got to do things too. You also been. I think you've been doing most of the LSU baseball stuff. Huh?
Yes. So I work part time for the Sports Radio Network, which has been super fun right now because everybody's winning.
You do that at every ball game?
No. There's four of us that do it. It's you remember Alondra?
Yep.
She's on board with that. Taylor Sharp is with that, and Jeff Palermo as well from from
I'm very familiar with Jeff's great guy. I was asking that because I do want to make a couple of Tigers games. I normally make a couple. I'm a big baseball fan. Love going to watch them. Look like their team. Somebody was telling me the other day, that's not the same team as last year. I said, no, it's not going to be the national championship team. Which had the first two players taken in the draft, two out of the first three or top two. I said, no, it's not the same team, but they look pretty good to me.
So top to bottom, I think they're better than last year, personally. You're not going to have
their pitching staff is deeper.
Their pitching staff is a lot deeper. Their pitching staff is built for a tournament play where you're going to need more than two aces. Their Tuesday guy. Now, granted, I'm biased. I'm biased for their Tuesday guy because we both roamed the same patch of grass in Covington called Heat Field at St. Paul's. But he got 13 strikeouts last Tuesday. I mean, Cade Anderson is phenomenal, and he's your midweek guy.
I just wonder if he ends up being a weekend guy before. So are they using him a weekend in relief?
Not yet.
Yeah, but you're not in conference yet either.
Right, that's also true. So get him as much work as possible.
Is he a freshman?
Yes.
True freshman.
Yeah, missed his senior year at St. Paul's because he had Tommy John surgery. So,
by the way, I'm gonna go back to he's a good friend of mine, and LSU ended up, they would have put him on a roster. They wouldn't go give him a scholarship, and he went on to ULM, which was Northeast at the time. No, it might have been ULM, and his name is Ben Sheets, Santa Monica area, and know Ben really, really well. Ben, it's like Ben did something like he had an injury and he missed most of his senior year, and Bertman didn't want to put him give him a scholarship. And Smoke Laval, who had been with Bertman, was at ULM, which I went to Northeast, but I mean it's ULM now. Right. And then Ben became all-world over there.
Oh, yeah.
He retired his number. I saw him personally strike out over 20 against Louisiana Tech.
Wow.
And it was nasty.
I mean, there's only 27 outs in a game.
Well, it was 20 or 21. I forget the number.
Right.
But he goes on to be the 10th player picked in the first round with the Milwaukee Brewers. They retired his number in Milwaukee as well.
Really?
But yeah, he stayed beat up toward the end of his years. Mm-hmm. He ended up signing with Oakland after he rehabbed, and he only made a half a year, got hurt again. Then he came back for the Atlanta Braves half a year.
Okay.
And Chipper Jones last year.
Oh.
And he went 4-0, then he ended up 4-4. He started the last game him and Chipper ever played. He pitched one inning, struck out two, and he called it a career. And Chipper was the star back then, and that was his last game as well. But Ben had a great career. He just stayed hurt.
Yeah.
But, boy, he was a competitor and great pitcher. He's out of the Baton Rouge, Santa Monica area.
Yes, he is.
And but I think his desire was to go to LSU. And, Bertman had a lot of good teams, and the kid was coming off an injury.
Right.
Basically like the kid you're talking about.
Yeah, Cade Anderson. And, as it stands right now, I don't know where you'd move him in to the three-man rotation over the weekend. You're not going to put him ahead of Jump or Thatcher Hurd right now, and he's definitely not the Friday night guy yet.
Yeah,
so,
but what happens in a baseball season? People get hurt, people get injured.
Right.
You got a lot of reasons to believe that he can help you, though.
Yes.
And when you start getting to conference play, the midweek games are not, to me, that important.
No, they're not.
So you can also start throwing other kids.
Right.
If you need him to move and be a weekend closer or weekend mid-range, whatever you need him to do, he's going to be big.
Right.
I've been following him. That kid's going to be special already.
And with the bats on the end with the bats, look, Tommy White is not starting off as like a house of fire like last year.
Don't count him out.
No, but that's what I'm saying. That's a good thing. We don't even have him yet, and we're still. I mean, I know. Like yesterday, they lose 2-1. The day before that, they win 8-2. I mean, the bats have the ability to come alive right now.
All right, so we're going to go 2 more hours to 1 o'clock. We
Yes.
got some guests lined up. Any surprises? Anything you expected? Be a lot of fun.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun just in talking about setting the table with everybody. I mean, you landed us Kirk Talbot. Insurance is going to be a hot topic for the first month of the session.
Well, we got Temple
and then
right after.
Yeah, it's so that's going to be nice to have both of them to get both sides of that perspective, because Kirk Talbot has to play nice with others to get things through, and then Tim Temple can have his wants, needs, and desires. He can have his Christmas wish list like little Ralphie writing to Santa Claus in a Christmas story.
I tell elected officials a lot of times, especially when they get home, I say, look, I don't need 50% plus one on the votes. You do.
Right.
And they always go, you're right.
and that's the hard part. That's the part I don't understand is we expect zero compromise from our elected officials. It's just that there's got to be some. There's going to be some. We just got to come out ahead. That's all I'm asking for.
But we can't just take the small steps anymore. Brian, you heard me say it a lot. I just think they need to
with
do
insurance,
some big
absolutely.
things in some areas, and insurance being one.
I agree.
Once again, if the people feel it in their pocketbooks on insurance, that is a pocketbook issue right there. And they want to feel like they got more money in their pocket.
Oh, no, completely. You ask anybody that moves here from out of state what the biggest shocks are, number one's the humidity, and number 1A is the car insurance.
All right, Brian, we're going to do that later. The rest of you, God bless. Best of. And then, of course, we'll be here in Baton Rouge for a couple hours. All right, got to go. Brian, thanks. We'll do it again. You're listening to the Moon Griffon Show at the Capitol right here on the 4th floor.
For the absolute best in local Cajun food, check out Prejean's in their 2 locations in Carencro and Broussard today.
News Talk 96.5 KPEL, Brobridge, Lafayette, a Town Square media station broadcasting from the Matthew James Financial Studio.
A united front in court on Lisa Brady, Fox News. U.S. Senator Bob Menendez and his wife just pleading not guilty again in a superseding indictment that adds obstruction counts to their existing corruption case, accused of taking bribes to help New Jersey businessmen and foreign governments.
Well, the new indictment says that in 2023, he had, through his lawyers, falsely told federal prosecutors in Manhattan that while he thought that he was paying back loans on a mortgage and car payments that the 2 businessmen made for him and his wife, that they were not bribes. But the new counts include more bribery and extortion.
Fox's Eric Shawn, 2 co-defendants also pleading not guilty again today, but a third has pleaded guilty, agreeing to work with prosecutors. Menendez, a New Jersey Democrat, was removed as head of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee last fall, but has denied any wrongdoing and refuses to resign. President Biden keeping up the pressure on House Republicans for a bipartisan border security deal that stalled in the Senate over GOP opposition.
I believe given an opportunity, the House and Senate
have the votes to pass it if they just bring it to the floor and vote on it.
Speaking a short time ago at a League of Cities meeting before heading to New Hampshire to talk about lowering drug costs. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu tells Fox News it's either Israel or Hamas. The total victory is needed for Israel's security after President Biden said going into the Gaza city of Rafah would cross a red line.
This would be equivalent to saying, after the Allies fought back, gone through Normandy, went through Germany, and you'd say, well, we'll leave a quarter of the Nazi army in place and we won't go into Berlin, the last stronghold.
President Biden marked the start of the Muslim holy month Ramadan with concern about civilian deaths and aid in Gaza and calling again for a two-state solution. America is listening to Fox News.
Don't let everyday aches and pains keep you from living your best life.
I don't think I really understood what people meant when they talked about pain until I started feeling it myself.
Start feeling better every day with Relief Factor, a daily supplement designed to support your body's fight against aches and pains.
Not only do I move better without pain, I just feel better.
Created by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients that target 4 metabolic pathways to address pain. Relief Factor doesn't just mask aches and pains, it helps reduce or even eliminate them.
Today, I do the things I love, and it doesn't occur to me to think about pain.
You can feel the difference all day, every day.
Join the over 1 million people who have tried Relief Factor's 3-week Quick Start Kit. It's only $19.95 and comes with our Feel Better or Your Money Back guarantee. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
An effort to oust Wisconsin's Republican Assembly Speaker from office may be set to move forward. It's over his opposition to former President Trump's challenges of the 2020 election results.
Supporters of the Wisconsin recall campaign against Assembly Speaker Republican Robin Vos plan to present signatures to the Wisconsin Elections Commission, saying they have more than the over 6,800 signatures required in Vos's southeast Wisconsin district. Signatures that'll likely be challenged as Vos questions the group's tactics. The recall effort over Vos's response to the 2020 election, his refusal to decertify President Biden's win, and refusal to impeach Wisconsin's top elections official. Vos, who was reelected by a 73% margin in 2022, calls the recall attempt a waste of time and resources.
Fox's Jeff Bonasso, a former trade advisor to then-President Trump, Peter Navarro, is ordered to report to prison next Tuesday in Miami. He was sentenced to 4 months for contempt of Congress after refusing to provide documents and testimony to the committee investigating the Capitol riot. A new NFL calendar begins this week, and several quarterback deals are already waiting in the wings.
9-time Pro Bowl quarterback Russell Wilson, who spent the last 2 seasons in Denver as the Broncos starting quarterback, indicated on social media he will be signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers. A reported 1-year contract. Wilson will have to earn a starting job, currently held by the Steelers' Kenny Pickett. Quarterback Mac Jones, first-round draft pick of the Patriots in 2021, will get traded to his hometown team, the Jaguars, where he will compete to be the backup to the quarterback taken first overall 3 years ago, Trevor Lawrence. Baker Mayfield, who quarterbacked the Buccaneers to their 3rd straight division title in his first season with the team, will re-sign with Tampa Bay, reportedly for 3 years and $100 million. Jared Max, Fox News.
A lower start to the week on Wall Street. Right now, the Dow is down 75 points. And Lisa Brady, this is Fox News.